a local area where daily living was a lesson. And entrepreneurship is not just theory, it was necessity. I grew up in a family where my mother and my father ran a yogurt business known as Hussain yogurt since when I was at nursery school. My father would travel around villages to get pure milk in jerry cans for my mom and for the family. And my mom would stand nights to produce, to package and process those milk. My siblings and I grew up to be automatic workers of this family company. And that was my first business school. No lecture on entrepreneurship and no classes. Every Thursdays and Fridays evening were evenings of street hawking. I hawked streets by street to sell pure honey. Sometimes I sell nothing, and sometimes I struggle to sell 5 bottles. Any day I sell 5 bottles, I feel like a millionaire, because definitely some percentage will be given to me for saving. That scenario alone taught me something. It taught me sales strategy. It taught me emotional intelligence. During my secondary school, my spirit for entrepreneurship almost put me into trouble. Since from JS1, I will make popcorn, take it to my class, and sell it to my classmates and schoolmates. Later on, I make donuts. Later on, I make ginger. Later on, I even make the doom seeds we know as kwallon kuka. I will flavor it and prepare it. But you know, as conventional school, it is prohibited for you to sell things in school. Those days, I never stopped selling into the school because of that spiritualism of entrepreneurship. I have been beaten to ensure that my entrepreneurship spirit doesn't die. Some of the goods I take to the school has been confiscated. They are being seized. And do you know something? Some of the teachers that beat me during those times, that seized my goods and so on, before the end of my secondary school, they happened to even be the people to be patronizing and buying my goods in the school where that thing was prohibited. That taught me something from that time. I understood that the power of, firstly, power of diversification. When the ginger didn't work, I switched to donut making. When donut making didn't work, I switched to popcorn. When popcorn didn't work, I switched into doom seed, that is kwallon kuka, right? Right from that point, I try to understand the power of diversification. That scenario as well taught me something, which is strategy. I knew how I strategize. I uphold resilience to ensure that that business didn't die, and I end up winning the heart of even the teachers that were not amused at the beginning. To the extent that every Saturday and Sunday, we go to Tahfiz school, which we call Hadda school. Any day I perfected my memorization, I will make a special ginger drink for my teacher. Not to bribe him actually, but to create relationship and reduce the rate at which he is going to correct me or even get punished. That also taught me a lesson that business is not all about profit you make. Business is not all about your products or your service. Business is all about people, and it's all about building relationships. And that was how I escaped that. When I was at SS3, during my secondary school, that was an eye-opener for me into technology. Technology was not just a mystery by then, but rather technology became a bridge for me. I was actually influenced by one of my friends who is now a senior military officer who was into printing press. And I developed the interest and the skill to start designing minor stickers, just stickers that we put behind our phones. I designed stickers for my classmates. I designed it for even students that are graduating from other secondary schools. And imagine that only skill of printing press mentality or graphic design mentality was what bridged the gap today into the world of technology I found myself. The journey didn't stop. I got admission into Ahmadu Bello University. And from the very first day I got admission into Ahmadu Bello University, I promised myself that I will not ask for a penny or a dime from my parents. Neither school fees, neither for provision. That same experience I had for graphic design and printing was what sustained my university life. I was doing helter-skelter to seal contracts with even the Common Students Union Association, with some departments. During those times, you will see some books with Hussain production. That was still me struggling to see how I sustain business, and I sustained my experience. After graduation from Ahmadu Bello University, two of my friends and I myself had a discussion to start a technology business. We agreed to set up a shop where one of my friends will be in charge of computer repairs. The other one will be in charge of computer training because he studied computer science. He knows the programming, he knows the IoT, he knows, and so on. While the other one, who is supposed to be in charge of computer repair, was an engineer, and he even studies engineering. And myself, I only studied biology education by then, and I can only bring into the table my printing press experience. So we are supposed to run a shop at Umar Farooq Plaza here, Sabon Gari, to be repairing computer, to be providing printing press solution, and as well to be training on computer knowledge. But what happened? After we struggled to get the money to set up that shop at Umar Farooq Plaza, the shop was very empty. There wasn't money to set up the shop. We only go there and have a seat. Business was not sustainable by then. But one of the most shocking things by then was we have already released adverts, we have already produced banner, people have already heard that this is what we are going to be done. And at that point, the two of them escaped. And I was left alone. No fights, no excuse, and I don't have backup. I was left with just two options: either to grow up or to close down. But I decided to do what every bridge builder must do. I refused disappointment to define my story. I learned in the hard way. I had no option than to immediately start learning how to repair computers. I became the engineer by accident. I had no option, the person who is from biology education had no option than to start learning computer related courses, to learn programming, to learn web development, to learn basics and so on. And I had to struggle to learn in the harder way and become the person who does as well the training. And I had to even buttress it to even learn how to sell computers. And this experience is what gave birth to the BT Hub Nigeria we are all seeing today. It was the experience, it was the disappointment, it was the experience of disagreement, it was the experience of abandonment that now give birth to the BT Hub Nigeria we see today. But today, many people see BT Hub just as a lucky game. Look at this tall building, they are doing this program, doing that. They never had experience of the failed 50 plus businesses I have done at the past when things were not moving right. They never had experience of my confiscated goods and what I have been providing during my secondary school. They never see when my friends left me alone and I had to struggle to do that. And they never see the falling night and tears of sadness that build the BT Hub today.